Good morning, Mom and Sir. I am Rosalinda Ballesteros, and I am going to discuss the skin and its structures and the different bones of the skeletal system and the major muscles of human body. First, what is skin? The skin is the largest organ of the body with a total area of about 20 square feet. The skin protects us from microbes and the elements, helps regulated body temperature and permits the sensation of touch, heat and cold. Next is skin has three layers. First layers of skin is epidermis. What is epidermis? Epidermis is the outermost layer of skin, provides a waterproof barrier and creates our skin tone. Second layer of skin is the dermis. The dermis is beneath the epidermis, contains through connectivity tissue, hair follicles, and sweat glands. Next, the deeper subcutaneous tissue or hypodermis. It is made up of fat and connective tissue. Next is the skin color. The skin color is created by special cells called melanocytes, which produce the pigment melanin. Melanocytes are located in the epidermis. Next is structures of skin. First, stratum corneum, melanocytes, basement membrane zone, and blood vessels. First, stratum corneum can be visualized as a brick wall with the corneocytes forming the bricks and laminar lipids forming the mortar. Next is melanocytes. Melanocytes are found in the stratum basal and are scattered among the keratinocytes along the basement membrane at a rotor of 1 melanocyte to 10 basal cells. Next is basement membrane zone. Basement membrane zone. This is a narrow, undulating, multi-layered structure lying between the epidermis and dermis, which supplies cohesion between the two layers. These are the two layers of basement zone. First, lamina lucida. Second, lamina densa. Lamina lucida is the thinner layer and lies directly beneath and stratum basal. The second layer is lamina densa. The thicker lamina densa is the direct contact with the underlying dermis. Next is blood vessel. Blood vessel in the dermis form a complex network and play an important part in their more regulation. This vessel can be divided into two distinct networks, and this is superficial plexus and deep plexus. Superficial plexus supplies oxygen and nutrients to the cells. The deep plexus, found deeper at the border with the subcutaneous layer, its vessels are more substantial than those in superficial plexus and connect vertically to the superficial plexus. Next is dermis has a made up of two layers, and this is the more superficial papillary dermis and the deeper reticular dermis. The more superficial papillary dermis, the thinner layer consisting of loose connective tissue containing capillaries, elastic fibers, and some collagen. The deeper reticular dermis consists of a thicker layer of dense connective tissue containing larger blood vessels, closely interlaced elastic fibers, and thicker burdens of collagen. Next is Different bones structure of a skeletal system. Skull including the jawbone, spine, cervical, thoracic, and lumbar vertebrae, sacrum, and tailbone. Chest include ribs and breastbone. Arms include shoulder blade, collarbone, humerus, radius, and ulna. Hands, wrist bones, metacarpals, and phalanges. Pelvis include hips and bones, legs, thigh bone, kneecap, shin bone, and fibula. Feet, tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. Next is four different types of bone. First, long bone. Second, short bone. Third, flat bone. Fourth, regular bone. What is long bone? Long bone has a long, thin shape. Examples including the bones of the arms and legs. With the help of muscles, long bones work as lever to permit movement. Next, what is short bone? Short bone has a squat cube shape. Examples include the bones that make up the wrists and the ankles. Next is what is flat bone? Flat bone has flattered board surface. Example include ribs, shoulder blades, breastbone, and skull bones. Next, regular bone has a shape that does not conform to the above three types. Example include the bones of the spine. Next is bone tissues. The different layers of bone tissues include periosteum, compact or dense tissue, spongy or cancellous tissue, bone marrow. Periosteum, the dense though outer shell that contains blood vessels and nerves. Compact of dense tissue, the hard smooth layer that protects the tissue within. Spongy or cancellous tissue, the porous honeycomb-bed material found inside most bones which allows the bone to be strong yet lightweight. Next is bone marrow. The jelly-like substance above found inside the cavities of some bones including the pelvis that produce blood cells. Next is three different types of blood cells. There's a red blood cells, white blood cells, bone density. Red blood cells carry oxygen around the body. The white blood cells make up the body immune system. Bone cells. Bone cells, our body is constantly remodeling its skeleton by building up and breaking down bone tissues required. The bone cells involved in this process include osteoblasts, osteocytes, osteodasts. Osteoblasts, the cells that build bone tissue. Osteocytes, the cell that maintain bone tissues by controlling the mineral and calcium content. Osteodasts, the cell that break down old bone tissue. Next is bone density, miles on a steady supply of dietary calcium, adequate vitamin D from sunshine, and food, a healthy diet with plenty vitamins and minerals. Next is bone conditions. There's are the bone conditions. First, fractures, osteoporosis, osteomyelitis, osteocysts, acromegaly, fibrous dysplasia, crickets, multiple myeloma, bone cancer. Fracture is a broken bones of various types. Osteoporosis, loss of bone density and strength. Osteomyelitis, infection of the bone. Osteotitis, bone inflammation, for example, Paget's disease of the bone. Acromegaly, overgrowth of the bones in the face, hands, and feet. Fibrous dysplasia, abnormal growth or swelling of bone. Crickets, a child growing bones to fail to develop due to a lack of vitamin D. Multiple myeloma, cancer of the plasma cell in bone marrow. Bone cancer, primary bone cancer. Most cancers found in bone have spread from other organs such as the breast, prostate, lung, and kidney. Next is major muscles of human body. First, deltoid. Deltoid are in your shoulder, which is the ball and socket joint that connects your arm to the trunk of your body, helps you to move your arms in different directions. They also protect and stabilize your shoulder joint. Next, pectorals, any of the muscle that connect the front walls of the chest with the bones of the upper arm shoulder. Next is bicep. A muscle on the front part of the upper arm includes short and long head that work as a single muscle. Next, abdominals have many important functions from including organs in place to supporting your body during movement. Next, tibialis anterior, muscle in humans that originates along the upper two-thirds of the lateral outside surface of fiber and insert into the dial cuneiform. Next, quadriceps, a large fleshly muscle groups covering the front and sides of the thigh. Next, tricep, it represents the only constituents of the posterior muscle group of the arm, spanning almost joint. The entire length of humerus, the main tricep functions, is extension of forearm and the elbow. Next is Latissimus Dorsi. It's a broad flat muscle that occupies the majority of the lower posterior. This muscle is able to pull the inferior angle of the scapula in various directions. Next is gluteals, any of large fleshly muscle of the buttocks, stretching from back portion of the pelvic or hip bone down to greater trochanter, the bony at the top of the high bone. Next is gastrocammus, also called leg trapeze, large posterior muscle of the calf of the leg. It originates as the back of the femur or thigh bone and patella or kneecap, and joining the another muscle of a calf is attached to the Achilles tendon at the heel. Next is hamstring. A group of three muscles that run along the back of your thigh from your hip to just below your knee. This muscle make it possible to extend your leg straight behind your body and to bend your knee. And that's all. Thank you.